a song that comes on, or you're playing something on Spotify, a song comes on, and you just inherently, as soon as it comes on, you change it. It's like 3 seconds in, you're just like, I don't like this song. You never heard it before, maybe, but you're just 3 seconds in, you're like, nah. And I think people get that same kind of feeling when it comes to all this other content, right? You consume so many different things that you just inherently build up this sensibility of like, what's really going on here? And even if you can't put words to it, you can feel it, and people know.
Yeah, I think, and on the marketing side, like, this is the most marketed to generation of ever, right? We're just getting hit by it constantly. So I think, yeah, like you said, there's probably this, we just have this sense now within a few seconds sometimes that you can just really feel it.
So Vince, let's dissect this a little bit, right?
Sure.
I think about like some of the superstar in content creation and community creation, people like Gary V, right? I mean, he kind of led the way in so many points, creating millions of followers. And he was like, get out there and just speak. It doesn't have to be overly prepared. Just go and speak. Okay, so people followed that direction. They just went out there and probably speak most of the time nonsense. But what's not landing? Because, I mean, people are generating content. It's not like we don't have content out there. We probably have a lot of content that's not necessarily producing engagement. So what's missing? What's the missing link in those cases where they're like, we're doing the content, but we're not getting any engagement?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just purpose, right? It's just defining really, what do you want to get out of it? What is the goal of doing all of this? And a lot of times it's like, okay, well, we want more listeners, right? And it's like, all right, you want more listeners for what end even, right? Like, what are you looking to do with all these people who are paying attention to you? What's the point? Right? Hey, you got 500 people in a room. They're all listening to your show. Cool. What next? Right? So I think that's part of it, is defining what the purpose is. And there is a personal element to this. Like, I use the word selfish because it really drives the point, but it's the idea of like, what do you really want? Like, what do you want to accomplish? Why are you doing this show? What is the value of the conversations for you? How is your business actually helping people? Like, what do you care about? What problems do you actually want to solve for people? And you need to think about those things, right? And like, creating a ton of content is great because you get reps at it. And you have times where, I mean, I've guested on hundreds of podcasts at this point. And there's some times where I will go through a show and then I'll finish it. I'll be like, damn, I've never said that before, but that was a really good line. Like, I got to use that again, So like there is a sense of self-discovery that comes from just getting out there and making it and being uninhibited and figuring it out. But you have to be purposeful of like what you're looking to accomplish in those different stages. If you're just looking to get better at delivery and managing time of a podcast, like, sure, that's one thing. But when you want hyper defined topics to a very specific group of people and running good conversations where your interview style opens that up and you get the kind of answers and conversation that you want, like, that's another level of art form, right? So it just takes a lot of intention to even understand that those are problems. They are things that you want to work on with what you're making, and then apply that to other people.
Thinking about, when someone's starting a podcast, what are their goals? Like you mentioned, kind of, why are you doing this? And they're probably saying something like, well, I want to build an audience, and, and then fill in the blank after that. But thinking about that, what are the early signs that a business is building a community, a real community, rather than just an audience? What would you say about that?
Yeah, I think unexpected people are thinking of you and recommend you, right? Like, that's one of those things where you've built an impression on somebody because you show up, right? Like, you're going to different networking groups, you're there regularly. You're not just going and handing your business card out and like leaving, and then you never see these people again. You're just hoping you landed a sale. It's the idea of, who they are, what this person is about. You have some idea of what they like to do in their free time, like a little bit about who they are, and they've got the same about you. And it can be weeks, months, a year, multiple years later. But when something comes up that's relevant to you, they think of you, right? Like, what better of an indicator than to say, hey, I haven't seen you in 9 months. But if for me specifically, it's like somebody mentioned they're looking to start a podcast. I naturally thought of you. I had to make this introduction. Like that. And this isn't necessarily people that are your customer, right? This is just people that care about that shared community space, right? Like, I'll give you an example, literally. So after we wrap today, in 30 minutes after our call, I have somebody that he's in the advertising space. He does all these big ad deals for big companies, tens of thousands of dollars. His company is not my client. I do like that. we don't do business together. I've never seen him as a lead, but he recommended me to somebody else. I haven't seen him in 6-7 months, So like, what kind of a win is that, right? It's somebody in a shared space who thinks of me, who makes the recommendation. So when you're getting that kind of traction, when people are liking posts of yours and they're not trying to sell you something, but they just like what you do and care about it and like really are engaged with what you're doing and think you have good points, you generate natural comments. Like those are the kinds of things that show that you're hitting, because people actually appreciate what you do and they can see the authenticity. Like it's coming together. It's apparent you show up. So the signs are there that way.
You mentioned kind of liking a post or something. How do you create content that invites participation rather than this is kind of that passive consumption?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those tough things with voice, right? I think part of it is platforms change all the time, and like the means of how you deliver information on platforms changes a lot. LinkedIn is interesting because over the past like year plus, it's been everything is a sentence or two, and each sentence is below the other, and like there's these little gaps in formatting. So finding what is like the trendy way that resonates with people, that is easy to read and connect with, is like a game in itself. And how do you express yourself naturally in those kinds of ways? But the other thing is when you're really forcing questions that people aren't asking, I think that's more of what it is, right? Like it's acknowledging the failure of stuff that's not working and being willing to say, okay, well, clearly I don't have the pulse of it on the way that I did, or I'm making assumptions about stuff, and being willing to calibrate until you start to see some traction. Because like, again, I think a lot of times people are, you're thinking about what other people will like potentially, rather than what is truly interesting and engaging to you. And when you can start to bring those things up to the surface and be more personal and be more open and share that with people, that's where the connection comes from. That's why a lot of these personal posts that people put up do so well. Like, hey, 3 years ago, I was in this really bad place and this thing happened and then I turned my life around. And like, people love that stuff because it's you and you're honest about it and you're talking about something people deal with and care about. Like, yes. So that's the game. Yeah.
It's fascinating. Like you said, keeping up with what the platform is preferences is also key. I mean, we've seen LinkedIn where selfie used to generate a lot of content, then video, then the carousels, then the formatted weird message, or the highly personal, or the highly opinionated, so many different things. And depending on the trend, if you're not on that course for that, you might get lost. But would you say also it's a matter of patience too? I know personally, when I started blogging, like I didn't see a whole lot of traction for almost 2 years, and it would have been easy to just say, "Why am I doing this? I'm not getting anywhere with this." But I kept going, and then on the third year, it got syndicated, and on the fourth year, it got really picked up, and eventually, I started reaching millions of people. But it has been a consistent weekly commitment, never missing a week, with the exception maybe for the last 2 weeks of the year. So that's been consistent too. So would you say also being consistent, not giving up, being patient, playing the long game is also key to this? Where do people go wrong here?
Yeah, patience is everything. I mean, all this stuff is a boxing match, right? Like in the way that you're getting punched in the face all the time. It feels miserable. You got to gut it out and be willing to train really hard to get better at it and win the next fight. Like it's just one of those things where, I mean, think about it, like you're competing with everything. Everything on the planet has an account, right? Like one of the hilarious things is like, okay, you're posting on Instagram. Well, everybody that has a dog or a baby probably has an Instagram account for that dog or that baby. You're competing with that content, right? Like
you don't even have to be human today to be online.
No, I mean,
you can be AI posting stuff.
Yeah. So like it's crazy with the level of competition that you have. So part of it is perseverance. And like on some level, there's times where you overachieve, right? Like your quality of content is so good, but for whatever reason, you just haven't broken through. And it takes some weird act of God essentially for you to like crack through into the marketplace and have that moment that really sets you off, or resonate with that one person who will really get it and be able to share you with their audience, right? Like there's just so many different things that come into play. And it's really unpredictable, right? Like otherwise, if it was super predictable of the ways to like go viral and build these massive audiences, I mean, more people would have them, right? Like it's just sometimes, especially when you're doing things like that, and it's these big numbers, big appeal kind of things, it's a harder thing to execute and do consistently, which is why I really just tell people to do the opposite, right? Like that's the community stuff. It's like, just build good connections with good people one-on-one. And if you're doing that consistently, like things are going to come together and you're going to feel way better about that than getting like 800 downloads on one podcast randomly. You know what I mean? It's a different game. You feel something.
Yeah. We talk on the show a lot about like systems and systemizing stuff so that you can have that consistency. What kind of systems or processes have you seen that help businesses kind of consistently build and nurture the community?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the biggest things is just time commitment, flat out, right? Like, number one is you have to put in the time to do it. You have to make time for it, and you have to make sure that other things don't take away that time. I know somebody who he's got a whole newsletter and private community that he's built of all of these super networkers, and he spends an hour a day just helping people without any expectation of getting anything back. And he just, that's it. It's like, hey, you need connections on stuff? Sure. I'm going to dive into that for you. I'll get back. I'll make some intros, or here's some things I found that are a good fit. And like when you're doing that every day for years, like that is a system, right? And it pays off with major benefits. For me, with a lot of things, like, because podcasting in general, right? One of the biggest things is people find other reasons to go, oh, it's just the podcast. Like I'll take this meeting instead. I'll go to this lunch thing instead, or I'll do it on Tuesday instead of Monday when it's our normal time. And like when you don't commit to that time, when you're building relationships through that, then naturally it's going to fail, right? Because you're not truly committed to it. So like that is the biggest part of systems, is just time and understanding with that, like facilitating it so that you don't have to sweat. You're not rushing things, that you can do stuff in proper order. Like systems are, there's systems behind systems, right? So like, I think that's part of it, is just having a proper foundation to execute. And then, I mean, beyond that, it's just being methodical about what you want to get done. So for me, like, okay, I have a membership. It's an entrepreneurs community in Philly. They're a client of mine. They've got over 800 members in the club, right? And what we do in these conversations is we talk to people about their work for like 10 minutes. We talk to them about their personal lives for about 5 minutes. We do testimonials after the recording when the show is done. And with that, now we make it so that it's a networking tool, right? It's a methodical networking tool. You get to understand people on a personal level, on a business level, what they're about, the kinds of connections that they might have that could be valuable, and how you can connect. So I'm networking on behalf of people, essentially making it easier to connect with each other. And at the same time, because this is a regimented system, I'm creating testimonials for the club. I'm getting members to talk about their experience in the club overall. And like, think about how much is being accomplished in 30 minutes worth of time, right? That's a tremendous value. But it's a system, and it's something that it took me 5 years to build that and figure it out, but again, it's time, it's commitment, it's purpose, it's refinement. Like it's a lot of things that pile up.
Yeah, you said something about being consistent as part of a system too. Like if you're going to commit to doing a guest podcast, don't do it whenever you can. Do it consistent on the same day at the same time. Consistency creates sort of a frequency for it. Otherwise, you're just kind of, you're not really serious about it. So when you're helping, for example, your clients produce podcasts, this is something you do now. How do you help them turn it into a strategic tool? Do you design it in such a way that can help them build a community? What are some of the key things you focus on in helping them use a podcast as a strategic tool for building community? Is it really about the reach, or is it really about the right kind of reach, or does that even matter? Is it more about the guest?
Yeah, it's all about the guest for me. And then whatever you generate beyond that is a bonus, right? And like, it depends on also the size of the business and the resources you have and the other kind of content you generate. You know what I mean? Like there's so many other layers to it. But ultimately, a podcast should be something that's valuable because it exists. That's my overall philosophy. I don't care what the numbers are in a vacuum. It should be because the show is built to do A, B, and C, it's valuable. And that really comes down to the connections first and foremost. And I'll give you an example of this. So I work with a guy who is in real estate, and he does flat fee listings in the state of Ohio, which for him means like real estate agents are directly opposed to him. They do not like him. He is a threat to their model. They don't want to engage. So he has a hard time with those relationships. He's not going to really build them, right? They just don't mesh. But there are a lot of other people that are in that space that are good connections for him. For example, if I'm somebody that's a house flipper, that's an amazing connection, right? If I'm somebody that paints houses, this might be a good connection to have. It's another reason, it's another resource, it's another option for clients that you service that you can present. Photographers, people that take pictures of of a house as you're staging it or whatever. Like those kinds of people were great connections for my client. And we built the show in a way where he had been solo for a long time, and there was value in that, but we mixed in guests. And what happened was, within his first 5 guests, one of them referred a client, another one became a client, because it was a natural conversation with people talking about different aspects of the home buying process, the home selling process. They cared about that. They're all engaged in it in different ways. And it was just easy and obvious because he genuinely solves the problem. He cares about that. He cares about the customer. His whole value proposition is you save like $10,000 on average more than your standard realtor because he's charging a flat fee for 6%. So that's, you know what I mean? Like, so all those things come together in such an easy and natural way. And that's really what it's all about, is how do you have natural conversations with the right kinds of people in that shared space, do that regularly, and just let it compile.
Yeah. So that podcast space, like you're building relationships with like you and I right now, right? We're going through this kind of experience together. And we're kind of building a relationship, and you're doing it really fast, in kind of this somewhat intense environment it can be for people. And it's sort of this natural way you can build a relationship, I think, is having those kind of conversations with people. Another tricky part though is, how do you convert those like listeners also into clients without too much difficulty, I guess. What would you say about that? How would you go about that?
Yeah. So first off, clear call to action, just one, right? Hey, I'm going to have you go to one place. Here is the thing. It's at the top of my funnel, right? And if you want to do for longer episodes, hey, maybe you want to have 2 calls to action, separate those things, right? So with my show, for example, I've had times where 7 minutes in, I'd finish essentially the first segment. I'd do a top of funnel read. Hey, here's my newsletter. There's a link. It's the first thing you see in the show notes. Go check that out. Sign up for the newsletter. All right, on to the next thing.
You mean like this right here?
Yeah, here, hit me. They're like, yeah, like that works.
Like this one right here.
Julio, if you're listening, he's putting up a little banner that talks about our Chief Marketing Officer platform, which can help you build purpose into your business and your marketing.
And where should they go for that, right? AICMO.io. Great. Like, exactly. Go hit it. So, exactly. But that's it, right? Like it's a singular, simple, easy thing that people can execute. The link is provided there for them to go and do it. And that is great. And then if you want to have something else that's like a deeper, hey, hop on a call, like do that later, but make it that one thing. People always tend to make this mistake of, like, hey, how can we get in touch with you after they've listened for 30 minutes? And it's like, well, I'm on LinkedIn and I have a Twitter account, and sometimes you can do email, but not all the time. I'm really bad with my inbox. And then by the end of it, you're like, I have no idea what to do with this person. Yeah. Or if I'm going to the website, like I don't, what is that next step? Sometimes like it all depends on how those things are laid out, but that's the intention. You need to make it easy and singular for people to act in that moment, because you have their attention, you have their trust, and they want to engage with you. You presented the value, they know it's authentic, and they're ready. So yeah, how do you just make it easy and natural? That's the number one goal.
I guess the other question would also be, how do you turn the guest into a client as well? Because I remember I did a podcast once, produced a podcast once. We were in a technology company where we spoke with CTOs almost every day, 4 days a week. And they were ICP type of guests, and many of them converted into pipeline opportunities. So it was building a community of connection, great content, but also connecting and understanding their challenges and turning them into potential clients. And I remember the board, new investors came in. It's like, so what kind of audience do you have? I'm like, I really don't care if anybody's watching. I'm more about connecting with the guest. The guest is what this is all about. We get to spend an hour with a guest 4 times a week. And that guest is a C-suite executive that will be impossible to get a sales meeting with. So are companies realizing the value of using this also as a way to build community with their guests being potential clients? Where is that something that, and then also not making the guests feel weird about it, right?
Well, so, that's the biggest thing, right?
You don't want to feel like they just went to a timeshare presentation either, right? So how does that work? Like, what's worked for you to balance that out? Great.
Yeah, it's a huge
feel weird about turning him into a client. So
Yeah, it shouldn't be an interrogation. It shouldn't be like full on discovery, right? So like, what's your biggest pain point right now as we're recording this in front of an audience of people that you have no idea how big it is? Tell me your problems. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. Don't do that to people. It's not what they want. It's not what they're here for, right? If anything, it's such a destroyer of trust when you go through things like that, right? Because it's like, okay, I've taken time off my schedule. I've done a pre-interview for 30 minutes. I filled out all these different forms. I'm now giving you an hour of my time, and you're just going to ask me about all of this stuff to hard sell me at the end of the episode. And you have no care about me or my business, really. Like, this is an incredibly selfish act, right? And so it's exhausting in that way. And that's...
And you've just built that hour or whatever, however long time is building this relationship, right? And you're both feeling good about this and all that, and then it's like you said, you switch to that transaction mode. You're like, oh man,
yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah,
so there's a natural switch. It's like you gotta not make them feel like they just got used. You know, it's not okay. Even if there is a natural. Balancing that is hard. You know, it's like, oh, I think we can help him. He made something a comment. I think we can help him with that. So maybe it's more like, I'd like to follow up with you in a week. I have some ideas I want to share with you. How do you typically guide clients to think about that so it doesn't feel weird?
Yeah, I think part of it is allowing
We're also
time.
Paying attention, by the way. We're paying attention, taking notes ourselves.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, it's recorded too, right? So there you go. Rewind as much as you like, folks.
It's live. We can't edit this.
Yeah, which is I love it. I'm back in radio. I love it. So yeah, I mean, here's one of the biggest things that I love to do, and I can't recommend enough, which is allow time beyond the scope of the conversation. And what I mean with that is, let's say your podcast is typically a 55-minute episode, right? So you book for the hour, and by the time you wrap that person is gone. They have another call coming up. They're getting ready for that. They've got a meeting. They've got work to do. They're out of there. You need to give a little bit of time to naturally decompress and appreciate the moment. Like, if you're 30 minutes for your show, 25 minutes for your show, book for 45. Your life will be so much better. I mean, one, you get more time to solve any technical stuff up front. You can decompress a little bit and get to know each other more before you go live and do that recording and get into that space. And then afterwards, yeah, you get the chance to follow up more. Like, hey, you mentioned that thing earlier. What are you guys actually doing about that right now? And like, it is a natural follow-up. It's not recorded, right? And it is a response to something that they have shared. So you can at least see what the deal is and how engaged they truly are. And on some level, what kind of confidence you've built with that person through that hour, right? Like, if you go through that episode and they're like, oh man, he was killing it. Like, he had all this great info. Then yeah, like I want that follow-up with you. You know what I mean? So but giving that time after is going to be such a lift. And then just, connecting with them on LinkedIn if you haven't done that, checking in with them in a couple of months and seeing what they're up to. Like, people that you genuinely like and have the relationship with and think it is a good fit. Yeah, stay in touch. And don't do it with full expectation, right? Just do it with the idea of it's a good connection for somebody that's in a shared space, has good ideas, and you never know, because it might not be them, but it might be another CMO that they know and have a good relationship that's a perfect fit. And like, that's what it's all about, is just being available for the right kinds of people, not forcing people to buy from you in the moment, right?
I want to go into the role purpose plays in all this, but before we do, we got an audience question from LinkedIn. What's the biggest mistake businesses make when they try to turn their customers, or in this case, even their prospects, into a community?
Yeah, you can't force community, right? Like, the biggest thing is you're going to waste a lot of time. I mean, are you building a school group? Are you building a Slack channel? Who is managing that? How are you paying attention to all the people in there? Like, if people didn't ask to be put together in a room and you're just doing that, right, they're going to resist. It's going to fall apart. I've seen it a million times. Because it's the same thing like we talked about earlier with music, right? You might listen to a song in 3 seconds and you go, this isn't my kind of jam. Like, people will feel that it's not fully there and they will very quickly leave. And so, yeah, the biggest problem is people didn't demand it. If anything, you should find more ways to get involved with communities that exist, because they've already found each other, and you know how you fit into those spaces. So find a way to be in alignment with stuff and support communities rather than try to own it. Because again, that is like the audience versus community distinction. Yeah. At that point, you're really trying to build audience and disguise it as community. And so that's what people don't like.
Don't try to be everything to everyone. According to PwC, 79% of employees say purpose is a key factor in their work. in the context of business and community, a purpose often shapes how people connect with a brand. Like if you try to be everything to everyone, that's not really purposeful. It's like maybe you're about one thing and you're really about it, and that community gets attracted to that because they're about it too. How do you see purpose influencing the way businesses build communities?
Yeah, I mean, purpose. What is community? It's like it is shared purpose, right? It's like, hey, we are trying to accomplish a certain thing. We want to go to a certain place. We want to make things easier for people. We want to make it better for people. We want to improve systems or resources, right? Like all of that stuff is inherently shared and purposeful. And so it really just comes down to, for a lot of businesses, they have core values, right? And it's how much do you truly abide by those things, and how much are you genuinely about them to the point where your purpose is obvious and it does naturally align with these groups, right? Like that's why exactly the question that we just went through with the building a community for a business, like that's why it doesn't work, because really your purpose is audience and they can feel that, and that's why it falls apart. But when your purpose is, hey, I share the same thing for you, I want to make it easy for you to showcase your best self, your vision, your voice, how you help people to your ideal audience, right? I want to make it as easy as possible, because when your value and their value is shared, it's hardly a sale, it's more of a partnership. And that's what it's about. So yeah, I think purpose is very clear in that way.
I think what I love about what you do, Vince, is that as you help businesses plan to create a podcast to build community, you're also elevating them to think about what is it that you want to stand for. And if they don't have that defined, they kind of showing up empty. How many companies do you work with that are kind of empty and you have to help them define that? I'm curious, what you have a percentage of how many are really have thought through what their purpose and their community should be about, or they sort of like, well, we haven't thought about that. What should it be like? And do you help them define it?
Yeah, so I think some people tend to overly assume what their purpose is, and it's more about realignment than it is they don't have one, right? Like the people that I tend to talk to, it's more about understanding what their priorities really are. And because podcasting throws a lot of people off, frankly. Like you're building a show and people think, oh, well, this is show business and we're going to be the next Joe Rogan. And you know what I mean? Like I've heard that phrase a million times, but that's how people approach this. So they psych themselves out. They overthink all of it, what the show is supposed to be, because they're thinking about, how do I do this in a way that gets a big audience versus how do I do this in a way that actually connects with people and builds relationships.
Yeah, so let go of the metrics, focus on the people.
100%, because then it's natural, right? Like the things that you're talking about are relevant and interesting to other people who are in your space. So they're more likely to share that conversation or say, oh, well, this was great. Here's somebody that you should have on the show because I think they'll be a great fit. And like, you know what I mean? Like what a win that is, right? When a guest is referring somebody to be on, that's how I got here, frankly. Right? Like, so that's awesome. But that's what it's all about, is like true engaged people having that shared space. So a lot of times, yeah, I've got to get people to back up a little bit from the assumptions of like what podcasting is and how to use it. And then it's stripping back a lot of layers to reset, which is the first thing that I do. I mean, I spend at least 3 meetings for an hour with people before we record a single episode, because it's a lot of like, what is your business truly about? What are the kinds of connections that really matter? Why are you doing this? What really inspires you day to day and lights you up? What do you want to talk about all the time? How does that connect to the people that are relevant? Like it's a lot of deconstruction, but then very natural assembly after the fact.
You mentioned on all those, the what, where, when kind of stuff, but you also mentioned the why in there. So how do you dig in deeper to uncover that deeper why of what they're doing?
I ask a ton of questions. It was interesting. I had a conversation with a guy a couple of weeks ago. Initially, he said that he wanted to talk a lot about saving for his show. He's in life insurance. He's got this special plan that people can invest in that's like not very popularized. And the whole idea is you can use it as a savings tool, and there's benefits to that, right? So first he's like, I want to talk about saving. But then we peeled it back a little bit. And what we realized is that that's one of 7 different streams of income that he wants to build for his life, because he learned that millionaires on average have 7 streams of income. And his purpose was, how do I set other people up to get those 7 streams and use this as a vehicle to support the building the others, right? And so it's like, in that case, now we're stepping back. It's alignment with what he does, right? But it's more about wealth building and talking about other people in the space in those other areas and what's interesting to them and how they build it. And as a result, he's building relationships with bankers and business lawyers and financial planners and like all these other people that share that wealth building conversation, and people have the kind of funds to do those sorts of moves. But it's more organic and natural, and frankly applies more to that audience. Like if you talk to somebody who's making plenty of money and has even 3 solid, heavy streams of income, they know about saving. They don't need to hear about saving, right? But that assumption came in up front because he was trying to tag the product a little too much. And that creates this misalignment. And frankly, it was way less to talk about. Like, how much can you say about saving versus wealth creation, right? Like, it's a way wider world, and it's because you invite more people to be a part of it, and you can learn a lot yourself. Like, it's a win for him too.
Vince, guess what? Mikey likes it.
Thank you, Mikey. Appreciate that.
You know, thinking about that, when you do tap into that deeper question of what you're doing, that really does help you become a little more authentic, you know, to that, because you haven't really defined it before, right? And so now you kind of realize maybe that higher purpose at play, or that deeper why at play. What role does that kind of authenticity play when in building trust and with your community and audience?
Oh yeah, it's everything, right? If I have a conversation with somebody and I think like, that conversation was fine, but like something feels a little off, I'm not recommending them. I'm not introducing them to anybody that I know. Like I am keeping them in a distance and keeping the gates closed, right? Like, it's going to take a while for them to earn my trust if it starts at a point where I think something is inauthentic about them. I mean, because for me, like, this is in part a personal thing. I'm authentic to a fault sometimes, right? Like, I am completely open and honest, and I want to connect with people, and I just love engaging with people, and I'm happy to share myself and be honest about like things that I'm going through or whatever, right? Share my experience. So for me, it tends to be easy to connect with people, and I also have a good read on being able to trust somebody on the surface, and that's a real benefit. But that factors into everything, because again, like, if you trust somebody and you like them, to be able to then have the confidence of introducing them to people that you know, hey, you've got this big project, you need somebody that can execute a certain aspect of it in a high level way, building a website, running a certain kind of ad campaign, right? Like, there's things that you want to do, and you want to have the trust and authenticity for them to pick you. But then you also have to have full confidence that when you're sending them somewhere else, that they're going to get what they need. So like, yeah, if you don't have authenticity, you don't have anything, right? Like the clients that could run through, the lack of connections that you get, just the overall opportunities that you miss out on. And like, on some level, that's kind of the beauty of podcasting and doing it authentically, is it can just open the doors to anything. I mean, you can get speaking engagements and invited to different events and meet all these interesting people and learn so many things. But you have to be open and honest in a way where people want to engage with you, invite you back, make those connections. Because if you don't have it, you don't have anything.
You know what I think is true about that too? If you want to do all those things, if you aren't authentic while you're trying to do all those things, that's just so much emotional energy. I think that trying to do all that. But if you're passionate about something, it doesn't feel like the big thing that you just described there, doing all these speaking engagements, all that stuff. No, it's just something you're passionate about. So Vince, on this show, one of the great things I love every week is I get to ask people, you know, especially business leaders, about this question. Is some form of this. It's, what role should love play in business, do you think?
Yeah. Oh, it should be a massive role in it. I mean, for me, like I said earlier, I inherently like people, and I want to believe in people and what their vision is and how they want to help other people, right? Like, that's always what business is. You're helping somebody in one way or another. And I'm fundamentally about that, right? Like, that's what this is. It's a service business. And when that's the approach to everything, is like, my job is to make your business more successful. That is partnership. Like, we inherently work together. Their success of their business is on some level, you know, tied to mine. And so like, that's how these things should operate. It is a level of codependency, right? And for podcasting, it is a long, ongoing, regular art form. Like, there's so much to be said for that relationship. So if you don't have it in a way where you're looking out for people, their different problems, creating opportunities to give them the feedback and support that they need, ways to grow, making connections for them that might be useful for them as they're trying to build their business and or grow their business even more, like, it's the center of everything. And again, it's like people feel that stuff. They're more likely to leave you. They're not going to recommend you. Like it's just a bad way to live. And for me, I think that's been sort of the joy of switching from sports radio to podcasting is like before it was entertainment and it's kind of popcorny and there's some emptiness to it. And in this case, it's like I get to have real impact and actually help people. And what a joy that is and how much more I love doing this than having a nationally syndicated radio show, I think would be surprising to people, but I don't miss it.
I imagine you get a lot of job satisfaction from people, seeing people grow when they do this, right? Because it's this huge growth opportunity. And ultimately, like you're in service to watching people, helping them grow in that way, right?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when there's times where somebody like asks a great follow-up question in an interview and I coached them to do that, it's like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Like I'll get psyched about that kind of stuff because yeah, it is growth. And there's so many different aspects of running a great show, right? With the kinds of topics that you present and how you engage with people and how you deliver that information once you've selected that topic, the ongoing relationships beyond the show, right? Like we talked about having those extra 15 minutes. Like there's so many layers of it and is so inherently deeply personal as much as these are business focused shows that like, yeah, it is just such a gift to work with people who are truly bought in and like have that same sort of alignment and to see how they grow. Yeah, I love it. It's honestly, it's the best.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay. Quick thing. Mikey not only likes it, he likes you. So Mike has
he wants him on our other podcast.
Wants on the ETF marketing podcast. So you're going to be coming back on that. That's a great podcast, by the way. If you're in regulated industry, wealth management, or ETF issuer, you got to tune into that podcast. Very educational, very insightful. All right. So
this is the first time like someone like an audience person soliciting business on the
yeah, we like it. We like it.
We haven't had it go that way before.
Yeah, that's my new agent, by the way. Mikey, you're my new agent, man. I love you. Thank you so much for your help. Yeah.
We love questions and comments from the audience. Thank you for sharing those. All right. So we're at the end. If you have to leave one thing for business owners who want to start building a stronger community today, what is that one practical step they can practice that they really must do? Like if they remember anything from this show, go do this. What would that be?
Yeah, it's commit yourself to a group of people, right? Find somewhere, some group where people that share the same kinds of interests and, business industry things that you do. Go find that place and show up at that place. Be a regular there. Have them know your face, know other people's faces. And just talk to people. Don't have the expectation of I'm going to walk away with a sale. Don't shove your business card in somebody's hand when they don't know who you are. Like just get to know people on the regular in a place where people have common interest. And if you do that, things will get significantly better.
I love that. Find your tribe, build your tribe. I love it. Okay. So people want to learn more about you. How can they do that?
So easiest way to do that is freepodcasthelp.com. That is the best purchase I've ever made in my life, guys. Freepodcasthelp.com. Please go there. You get a free 15-minute call with me talking about anything strategically related to your existing show or launching a show. So that's what that site is for, freepodcasthelp.com.
Vince, thank you for joining us and really providing a lot of insight and building community and connection in business. A lot of good insight there. There's a couple of parts in the show where like, oh, rewind this, people, come on. This is really got a lot of meat on that bone of what he just said. So thank you, Vince. Thank you to our listeners. Good questions. And, connection is not built through content alone. So it's built through consistency, intention, genuine engagement. Like he's saying, go find that community. And be genuine about it. That's otherwise, don't go find that community if you're not being genuine about it. But, so consider how you're creating a space for real relationships. So thank you for joining us on the Bliss Business Podcast, and we'll see you next time.